Wow. Look at that. Back-to-back wins against the worst team in baseball. Welcome to the Toronto Blue Jays.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Wasco. Carter First, too, is as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. Drop a subscription. We notice a lot of you guys aren't subscribed that watch either our shorts and our podcast. So, yeah, do that. Helps us out. Puts us at the top of your guys' page. Keep you guys up to date on all of your Blue Jays news. Yeah, Carter, this team gets back-to-back wins. Sort of, because technically the game is not over. I believe it's still in rain delay. But whatever, it's going to end. It's the Blue Jays are going to win. It's nice to see them pick up a back-to-back wins. Score right now as it stands 7-2. Delayed in going into the bottom of the ninth. I don't know if it's going to be continued. I doubt it with all the rain coming down. But anyway, it's nice to see that the Blue Jays pick up back-to-back wins. The only caveat to all of this is that it's against the worst statistic team in baseball right now. And that's hard to be thrilled about. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy if this team can find ways to beat the bad teams. We need to, but then we go back and we look at the Tigers series and they couldn't get it done against another not so great team. And maybe I got to stop saying not so great team because maybe that's where the Blue Jays are. But Carter, overall thoughts on today's game? I thought it was pretty good, honestly. There wasn't a lot to complain about.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you should do to a team like the Chicago White Sox. Just dominate in every single facet of the game. Kevin Gausman looked unbelievable today. Again, just making use of his pitches. His entire arsenal was throwing all of his pitches today. I didn't love his splitter, I'll be honest, today. He wasn't getting a lot of strikeouts with the pitch. I think he only ended up with it's either 2 or 3 strikeouts. I can't remember what the exact line is. But Kevin Gausman with his location, his fastball, his velo's there, just working through hitters, fell into a little bit of trouble in the third inning. I thought he was actually going to throw 8-9 innings. But again, you get 6 out of them. I'm taking that every day of the week. And like I said, this Chicago White Sox lineup is not good. So these starting pitchers, the caliber of starting pitchers we have on this baseball team should be able to carve through this lineup like that. And like I said before this series, I'm only content with the series sweep. And again, we waited for an hour for this rain delay. And the fact that it hasn't changed, I'm assuming that the Blue Jays are going to end up winning this game. But if somehow the Blue Jays blow this game and it continues to play, I'm going to go to Toronto. I'll lick the Rogers Center floor. I don't care. I'll just put my body on the line. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to win 2 in a row. It is against the worst team in baseball. But I mean, like we always say, these wins mean the exact same as the wins against the Baltimore Orioles. Maybe you feel a little bit better against a win against the Baltimore Orioles. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. You get 1 win out of 162, and hopefully they continue this momentum. I guess you could say they're picking up in this White Sox series and hopefully go for the sweep.
Yeah, so Kevin Gausman's line, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, and 1 walk. He was carving. What I really liked about Kevin Gausman today is that he was using this slider, a pitch that he isn't necessarily known for having the best of, but I think adding a little bit of a wrinkle into what is already, a really good game from Kevin Gausman. You adding a bit of an extra piece in, something that these guys maybe necessarily won't see coming. He was throwing a lot of sliders for strikes early on in at-bats, which I thought was really good. I think it was about the 3rd time through the order he started to really use it just to throw some hitters off, which I think is just a really well done job by him and Danny, honestly, just picking up on that, using that extra pitch. So he's Kevin Gausman again. It's hard to complain with this guy. He is just unbelievable. The hitting today was nice to see. I mean, Davis Schneider have a day. 3 for 4 with a walk, 3 RBIs. Just a great day. Danny went 2 for 6. Vladdy 1 for 5 with a walk today. Not the best line you want to see from him. There was a couple of hard hit balls that he just didn't get through. I think there was one with, I believe it was runners on 2 and 3, shot it up the side, sort of went off the fielder's glove right into the shortstop's hand, gets thrown out at 1. That's tough. Bo again 1 for 5, not his best day. JT 1 for 4. Varsho 2 for 5. Springer 2 for 2. I believe he had 3 walks as well. So sort of an unbelievable day for George Springer, who's starting to pick up a little bit of traction here, hopefully. And then 1 for 4 from IKF. Just sort of just beauty status for IKF, I think. And then Kevin Kiermaier, just not a great day from him, but you sort of get what you pay for with him. He's going to have off days. He's going to have bad days or good days, bad days, whatever it is. Carter, who's your standout, I would say, hitter? I'm going to take Davis Schneider out of this because I think everybody knows that he had just an unbelievable day. Is George Springer your standout hitter from today?
I mean, this is like a stats can fool you for this one here. I think a lot of his at bats were kind of gifted to him a little bit for some reason. I don't know if this team was just scared of pitching to George Springer, but a lot of these at bats, they were throwing balls that weren't even close to being strikes. And again, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit here because he did reach base every single time. So you got to take that. You don't get 3 walks by being terrible. I mean, I guess you could say that because he didn't have to swing the bat once if he didn't want to, and he would have got walked every single time in those 3 walks. But yeah, you got to give the guy credit. I mean, his hits, not hitting the ball necessarily hard, but he's fighting, he's fouling off pitches, and he's starting to get a little bit of production. So I can't really hate on George Springer, but I like Danny Jansen's at bats again today. In that first inning, I thought he had a bomb. I really did. And a good play in the outfield. David Schneider, you get him to 3. But what I want to go into before I get back into Danny Jansen is David Schneider hits a leadoff double. And I know we end up, again, the game 7-1 right now, or 7-2 technically. I forgot about that. And it's actually, the game is on right now. They are playing it. There's 2 outs in the 9th here. So they did end up somehow playing this game, but it looks like it's going to end up in a Blue Jays win, like we said. But you get a leadoff double. David Schneider, again, is hitting like crazy from the leadoff spot. So thank God he's there. But then you get a Danny Jansen moonball to left field. I thought it was out, but a good catch at the wall. You get David Schneider to third. Vladdy rips a ball to third, and I think that's the play you were talking about. Like, it hits the third baseman's glove, and then Paul DeYoung. Just every time I hear that guy's name, it kind of pisses me off a little bit just because, I mean, he's not doing much this series, but that first series, the first game, he absolutely killed us. And then, yeah, they throw him out, and then you have Bo Bichette, who's just a bad at-bat. And you don't get the guy in. And again, this team went 4 for 15 with runners in scoring position today. That's not great. That's not great at all. There was multiple times in this game that this team needed to come through. Thank God they ended up coming through. I believe it was in the 8th inning. Justin Turner with a huge single. Hopefully that can start a little bit of traction for him. But back to Danny Jansen. This guy's at bats, like, he's one of the guys that he comes up and the other team is very fearful for his at bat because he usually is putting a very good swing on the baseball. Had a couple fly balls today. That's the Danny Jansen special. He's always hitting the ball in the air, and that's what we need more of on this team. When you have Dalton Varsho leading the team with 10 home runs, and then your next guy is David Schneider with 6, that's not amazing. You kind of want some guys to hit for more power, and that comes from fly balls, right? So I'm going to give my player of the game. Obviously, it would be David Schneider, and the Blue Jays do win this game 7-2 as Tim Mesa does finish it off. But I got to give it to Danny Jansen. Just throughout this game and then just the whole season, Danny Jansen has been raking, and it's been such a pleasure to watch this guy play baseball.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I sort of gift wrapped that one to you. I knew that's where you were going to go, but I was trying to throw George Springer in there as a little bit of a temptation pick, but no, Danny is the guy that we need him to be. You know, like we said, it's not a Danny Jansen, it's not a Davis Schneider problem here. These guys are doing their jobs, and they're doing their jobs well. Yeah, you would have liked Vlad to be able to drive some runs in, but that's not the player he's being so far this season. The player that he's being is a hard hit single guy. And that's just what it is. And he's doing it. He's doing it well, but it's almost not why we have him. You know, there's other guys that maybe can't do it as well, but we need Vlad to be hitting home runs. We need Bo to be hitting doubles and triples and you know, driving in runs. Though that's why we have those guys. And when they're not doing it, who else is going to?
Well, yeah, you look at this lineup, and this lineup just isn't constructed of home run hitters. You have debatably, I want to say two players that can hit over 30 home runs, and one of them is debatable. Dalton Varsho is on pace for that right now, but that's the one I would say is debatable. In my bold predictions, I did have him having 30 home runs, so I'm hoping that he can get there. I was on or in on Dalton Varsho this season. Then obviously the other one is Vladdy, but Vladdy, as you've seen so far, I think he has it's either 4 or 5 home runs on the year. I think I'm leaning to 5. I think that's where he's at. But again, that's not great for a player like Vladdy when he had 48 home runs in 2021. But we've been saying about this about Vladdy for a long time. He's definitely not the problem on this team right now. He's hitting almost 300. He's been unbelievable. Pretty much after the first 3 weeks of the season, he's been such a great hitter for this baseball team. But yeah, I mean, the game gets a lot easier to score runs when you have home run hitters. It takes one swing compared to 3 good swings in a row. It's going to be tough down the stretch when you're looking at this team and like looking at this lineup today. Like you have David Schneider, I love him in the one spot. Danny Jansen at 2, Vladdy at 3, Bo at 4, Justin Turner at 5. If we had a player like Teoscar Hernandez or someone like that, I know just throwing back to a random Blue Jays guy that was on this team previously, I think this lineup would look really good. You have Varsho at 6, Springer at 7. Hopefully, he can pick it up. IKF, who's just having great at bats, had another double today, which was a huge RBI for George Springer, obviously ripping from first base. And then you get Kevin Kiermaier, I mean, Ernie Clement, whoever you really want at that last position in that number 9 slot for the batting order. I think that's a pretty complete batting order. When you have Justin Turner there right now, maybe if he can figure it out and he continues to be a consistent hitter, not as much this season, but as he is throughout his entire career, if you can get like a decent Justin Turner back hitting even 250, putting more balls in play. He had one at bat today, Justin Turner. That was absolutely terrible. We threw him 3 straight sliders in the dirt and he swung at every single one of them. It was like watching you play MLB The Show. It was just horrible at bat. Just something that he's got to get better at. He's been really terrible over this last month. But again, hopefully that RBI single in the 8th can spark something for him. Maybe he gets back on track for the next couple games.
Yeah, and that's what we got to hope for, right? Because otherwise, who else is going to do that job? You look up and down here. I guess you need Varsho to be that 5-hole hitter at some point, but he's got to get the average up, right? He's got to be hitting more balls, and he's just not. And then you look towards the rest of the lineup, and you're like, okay, well, if it's not Dalton Varsho, it's not Justin Turner, then who is it? And I don't necessarily know if there's a good answer right now. That is the hard part. Just going back to another positive, I found it really cool. I love when players slide and avoid tags, and I know I'm going to give Babe another little shout out here, but just a fantastic slide to get in there and safe and score that run. It's just he's a high IQ baseball player, right? The way he takes pitches in his at bats, the way he knows the zone, the way he base runs, everything is just done well. He's one of those guys that it's impossible to hate on, and when he does stuff like this, it makes you love him even more. So a little bit of shout out as sort of a bridge to another maybe rough topic we're going to get into here in the next segment in Erik Swanson, because he was sent down. And I got to get Carter's feeling on this. I know he's a huge Erik Swanson guy. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back and talk some Erik Swanson.
Take care of all your vehicular maintenance needs with our partner, eBay Motors. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your vehicle, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Whether it's a new spoiler, new brakes, a new alternator, or you just want to deck out your ride, eBay Motors will have everything you need. They're super easy to deal with, very knowledgeable, and their experts give great advice that is specific to your needs. So to keep your ride or die alive with eBay Motors, you can go to ebaymotors.com. Eligible items apply, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available for U.S. customers.
So, like I said, Erik Swanson gets sent down to AAA Buffalo, Carter. I'm going to start here before we get into his season stats, his last year stats. Your feeling. I know you're an Erik Swanson guy. You love him. You loved him last year. It's tough to see the start that he's had to this season. What are your feelings on him being sent down?
So first off, I'm just going to say who took his spot on the team, and definitely not a guy to scoff at. Chad Green finally back after 5 weeks on the IL. It felt like he was gone forever. So he had a fairly effective day. I mean, you're going against the White Sox, but he only gave up 1 hit in his 1 inning of work, no runs. So I'm definitely going to take that. Erik Swanson, I mean, we've said it before on this podcast, probably the worst case scenario to start a season. Obviously has an injury and then has some family problems with that car accident from his son. You can't blame him on that. That's a very tough start to the season. Obviously, he was not mentally there in spring training. How could you be? I'm not blaming him at all. That was a very tragic moment for Erik Swanson, but good thing his child has made a full recovery. So, based off that, you don't get a good start to spring training. You don't get a good start to the regular season, as we've seen with multiple players. Brandon Belt last season, Kevin Gausman this season, there's multiple other ones. If you don't, Alejandro Kirk, another one just off the top of my head. If you don't have a solid start to spring training, you don't play games in spring training to work your way up, it usually doesn't translate too well to start the season. But saying that, Erik Swanson has not been good at all, really, to start the season. I thought he was sort of turning a leaf a little bit here, but then he gives up a moonball in his last start. And I know you have his stats this season. I'll let you compare him to last season as well.
Yeah, so this season so far, in 17 games played, he pitched 13 and 2/3 innings. He was given a win and he was given 2 losses with an ERA of 9.22. 10 strikeouts, 4 walks, 14 earned runs. He's given up 5 home runs. Just not the statistics you want to see from him. I will also go into his last season statistics just as a comparison. I mean, I think everybody already knows sort of what it's going to look like. But in 2023, Erik Swanson had a 2.97 ERA. He was given 4 wins, 2 losses. He had 4 saves in 66 and 2/3 innings pitched. He gave up only 22 runs the entire season, 8 home runs, 21 walks, and he had 75 strikeouts. It was an absolute masterclass watching him last year. And I think that's why everybody was so high on him, right? You come off last year, oh my goodness, this guy is just an absolute beast. And then you get to this year, and yes, everything that you said is horrible. There's no good way to come out of that into this season, probably mentally there whatsoever. But I think at this point, me and you sort of both thought that he would have been able to come back, and we just haven't been seeing that from him.
Yeah, I'm going to start with this. I've been seeing a lot of discourse saying that we should release Erik Swanson, get him off this team. That is just idiotic. Like, you just don't know what you're talking about if that's what you think about Erik Swanson, especially this guy's options. He has years of control left. There is no reason that you should DFA Erik Swanson, especially when you look at his last 3 years. He's had around a 3 ERA in all 3 of those seasons. You remember Erik Swanson from the Seattle Mariners. He was good with them as well. Again, tough start to the season, but you do want it to be better. I found this interesting, and they gave Erik Swanson a lot of respect here. You don't really see this a lot with people getting sent down to AAA. So Erik Swanson, obviously very emotional conversation. He obviously knows that he is not playing up to par. He's got to get better. But usually they let these players come to the baseball field to tell them that they have an option. But they did it right in the hotel. They made it a little bit more private, helped him out a little bit, gave him the respect he deserves. And Erik Swanson, obviously, he has not been good. So I kind of dove into why he hasn't been good. So over the last 3 years, one thing that Erik Swanson is doing a lot this year that has not been good for him compared to last season's is when teams are hitting the ball in the air, when they're hitting fly balls, these fly balls are leaving the yard at a ridiculous rate. So you go back to 2022, his fly ball percentage that turned into home runs was 5.2. 2023 was 10.7. This year, it's 26.3. So a quarter of the fly balls Erik Swanson is giving up are going out of the yard. It's like when Erik Swanson is pitching, for some reason, it's like Vladdy in the home run derby. Like that's what it looks like for these opposing hitters. They're just launching these baseballs, especially off the splitter. So with this guy's splitter, last year, a 162 batting average and a 266 slugging. Just guess the slugging that this guy's giving up off of his splitter this season.
This season? Oh God. 529.
How about double that? 1,071 slugging off of this guy's split-fingered fastball with a batting average of 293. And again, this correlates right to the fastball splitter combo. He has a swinging strike rate last year of 15.4%, and this year it's 8.6. So clearly, the splitter is just not working for him. It's not moving. It's almost just like a fastball that's just hanging over the middle at 86. It's not moving down. It's not breaking enough. So it is literally like batting practice, and these players are showing that they are taking advantage of this pitch. His fastball hasn't been great either, but when you look at how bad the splitter's been, when you're not throwing a good splitter, there's teams can now sit on that fastball and take that for a ride as well. And just looking at the eye test, just simply watching the baseball games, you can tell that Erik Swanson's not locating that splitter. He's trying to get down, and maybe when it's moving how it normally does, it does get dropped out of the strike zone. But lately it's been hanging, and players are taking advantage of this. So with Erik Swanson, hopefully he'll be able to pitch more consistently. That's been a thing with the relievers. The starting pitching's been so good that's been hard to get a lot of these relievers in consistently. Look at Yimi Garcia when he gave up that 2-run spot against the Tigers. He didn't pitch for 4 days before that. It's tough to get in a consistent groove when you're just not pitching. So he goes down to AAA, gets more innings in, finds his confidence back. I can see Erik Swanson being back in honestly like 3 weeks. I hope he figures it out. We do need his arm. We do need Erik Swanson of last season because this bullpen in totality has really been struggling. But again, you get Chad Green on the way. I'll get into Bowden Francis in the third segment. Yariel Rodriguez hopefully back on the way. I don't have an update about him. But you have reinforcements on the way. Erik Swanson has shown through especially the last 4 seasons that he is a very good relief pitcher. He is supposed to be the 8th inning guy on this team. You can debate 7th, whatever. But you look at this guy last year, you look at him in 2022. He's an unbelievable pitcher. I'm sure Erik Swanson is going to be back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a guy that can turn it around. I think it was just bad circumstances going into this year. And I think knowing what Erik Swanson can do in his resume so far, I have no problems in saying that he might just have to clear the head and this just might not be his year. And I know that's going to sound dumb to say that these guys should always be able to bounce back. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that these players are human beings too. Personal stuff happens in their personal lives, and it sometimes is very difficult to get out of that. Of course, the Blue Jays are going to be looking for the sweep. Alek Manoah on the mound tomorrow. And, Chris Bassett had some interesting things to say about Alek Manoah. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL. FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. As you all know, I am a huge, I would say almost donator to FanDuel right now. I have been losing bets left, right, and center. I had one on today or yesterday's game, I guess. I had Vlad with 2 or more bases and Kevin Gausman with at least 5 strikeouts. Neither of those worked. So tough day for me out here. But I'm going to hop right back on it tomorrow. I'm going to go with one of their pre-made live parlays because I seem to win on those ones. And again, I keep going back on my word saying I'm never going to make my own bets. I'm always just going to use FanDuel. Well, I went back on my word and I lost. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Here, I'm going to start off this segment quick because you went into that break so fast, I couldn't even bring up the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel. Perfect opportunity, Locked On Sports Today, the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Whether you want NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA, or college sports, perfect opportunity to check out expert analysis. But Braden, you have seen Chris Bassett talk about Alek Manoah and his situation this season, so I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, so I got to give Chris Rose Sports. This is, it was a little bit of a shout out because Alek Manoah has been a topic of conversation throughout the entirety of last year, into the offseason, into the beginning of this year. And now he's the Alek Manoah I think we all expect. He's going to have really bad days, but then he's going to, when he's having really good days, they're really, really good. And Chris Bassett sort of said, Alek Manoah is one of those guys that will fight and battle and claw his way back to being great. He wants to be great. He's still young, and he's going to try to fix his stuff every day. If he knows something's wrong, he's not a guy that gets super, super down. He's a guy that can bounce back really quickly. And I think it was a great segment on Chris Rose Sports. I thought just it was cool to see. I mean, go watch the video. I'm not going to, go over the whole thing. But it's cool to watch a pitcher talk about a guy struggling, and especially like a more veteran guy like Chris Bassett say these things about a younger pitcher like Alek Manoah, because he's probably been through the same thing. Chris Bassett is, like I've said, a lunatic as well. And he's probably been through the ups and downs and had to drag himself, sort of out of the depths of hell a little bit to figure out his stuff. And I think that's exactly sort of Alek Manoah's sort of thought process right now after the last couple of years of having to drag himself out of probably what felt like years off his life trying to pitch better, and he just couldn't make it happen. And finally, he's starting to see these results. So it was just very cool. I would suggest go give that a watch. It's a clip on, I believe it's Chris Rose Sports on Instagram. I think he's got the clips there. So if you want to go take a listen, go do that. It was a great segment. But Carter, I got to give it back to you just to talk about Bowden Francis.
Yeah, before I do get into that, I want to compare Alek Manoah here. Maybe this isn't a great comparison, but Kevin Gausman's been in the league a very long time. Obviously, it shouldn't be disputed that this guy's a very good pitcher. So Alek Manoah, I believe, is 25. And Kevin Gausman, obviously a very good pitcher, especially these last 5 seasons, has been absolutely ridiculous. But you look at this guy, I'll go from when, I'm just going to say his ERA from when he was 24 and on. So 24, he had a 4.25 ERA. At 25, he had a 3.61. When he was 26, he had a 4.68. 27 had a 3.92. When he was 28, he had a 5.72, and this was his really bad season. And then he got traded or released. I can't remember exactly what happened in 2019, but a 6.19 again on his another team on the Atlanta Braves. So clearly Kevin Gausman had a little bit of ups and downs in his career. And again, maybe it's not fair to compare Alek Manoah to Kevin Gausman because Alek Manoah has only been in the league for a couple years. But this guy is very young. His stuff is absolutely disgusting. His sinker's so good. When he can locate that slider, it completely falls off the map. So with Alek Manoah, you got to give this guy a little bit more time. Again, it was tough this offseason with all the discourse, all the stuff he was saying, the quotes to Yankees fans, all that stuff. It's kind of hard to get behind a guy that's struggling as bad as Alek Manoah did when he's saying all that kind of thing. But with Alek Manoah, give him a little bit of time. Maybe he will figure it out. And again, I'm not on selling a player when he's playing some of his worst baseball of the season, minus his last 3 games. But just saying that, I just wanted to get that out there. I'll let you respond to that quick.
Yeah, and sort of, it's interesting. That clip was very interesting to me because I think we talked about it, and some of the people that watch this podcast have said the same thing, that Alek Manoah is mentally weak. He doesn't bounce back very well, whatever. And it was weird to hear that Chris Bassett sort of thinks the opposite. And that was, I don't know what to take away from that. Like maybe obviously we're not seeing the stuff that goes on in the clubhouse and what he's doing, off the diamond, right? And maybe he does bounce back well, but after last season, that's not the impression I was given. So I don't know. I don't know what to take away from the conversation. I think it was a really good conversation coming from a veteran player, but I don't necessarily know if I 100% believe that Alek Manoah is, the strongest man mentally of all time.
Well, I'm gonna take 2 things away from this. So the first one is Chris Bassett as a teammate. Like you're not gonna crap on your own teammate. Like it's pretty much a cop out answer, you could say. Maybe he's not lying completely. Again, we don't see what this guy puts in every day. We don't see what they put in off the field. But saying that as well, with Alek Manoah, you can see his emotion on the mound. You can see when one of his teammates, I think Ernie Clement, made an error in one of his last start. Alek Manoah was the first one to kind of just give him like the props, be like, hey, it's going to be okay. Like just get back, get mentally dialed again. And Ernie Clement makes a play the next bat at bat. Alek Manoah was the first one to cheer him on, get in his corner, say, let's go, hype up his teammates. So I will give him that. But again, you have a teammate that's sort of had an up and down season. You could say you're not really going to crap on him, unfortunately. But saying that, we're going to get into another player that has been injured for a while, and that's Bowden Francis. So Bowden Francis made his 3rd rehab appearance here. He threw 3 2/3 innings in relief in AAA Buffalo, tossing 60 pitches, 39 strikes, only allowed 1 hit and 1 unearned run, no walks, and striking out 5 hitters. this is the Bowden Francis that I love to see. We're finally going to have an actual long reliever in this bullpen who is going to be so helpful, especially in like a White Sox game like today. I guess not as much because it was 4-1, then 5-1, and then obviously 7-1, and then it ended 7-2. So you're not going to use Bowden Francis in that scenario. But then you have, say, a blow-up start from one of your pitchers. Say one of your relievers goes down as well. You have a guy who's pretty much can be a sixth starter to eat up innings, and that is what this team needs so badly. Because one thing, again, going back to Erik Swanson, one thing that people are saying about Erik Swanson, he was overworked last season, as well as like the entire bullpen, which there is some validity to that, but I don't know how much that impacts a person season to season. I think that really goes into your off-season training regimen and how much you're throwing at that point. These guys are professional baseball players. They're used to throwing innings, especially at their ages. Like these guys aren't 21 years old. They're 25 and up. I don't really see that as being as big of a problem, but I'm definitely excited to see Bowden Francis back. Hopefully coming up soon. Maybe he's even back for this Pirates series. We're going to have to find out. We're going to update you guys as soon as we have the information. Not out yet, but how excited are you for Bowden Francis to come back for this team?
Yeah, I'm pumped. And don't get me wrong, the stats from this year that he has are going to lie to you. And that's what we mean, right? You can't take the stats at face value. You got to do a little bit of, watching games and actually seeing what's happening, because Bowden Francis is going to do the role that this team needs in a start. Like I look back at the Kikuchi's last start. That was a game that we needed Bowden Francis like I need a hole in the head. I needed Bowden Francis in that game. And it's too bad, because maybe that's the difference. Instead of having to tax the bullpen completely, maybe we get Bowden Francis in there and it's a different story. Maybe not, but that's his role, and he's done that role well. So yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with him coming back.
Well, people are forgetting that when this guy was out of the bullpen last season, he had a 1.73 ERA. Like that's really good out of the bullpen. So a guy that has shown that he can be successful in this bullpen as a long relief guy. And like you said, with that Kikuchi game against the Detroit Tigers, I think that would have been a perfect situation for Bowden Francis. Yusei Kikuchi obviously does not have his stuff, but saying that, really nobody had their stuff. The only one that put up a 0 is the guy that got optioned to AAA today. So that's kind of where we're at with this bullpen, unfortunately. You see Jordan Romano struggling. I like Zach Pop. I think he's done more than enough with his role. Tim Meza has been struggling a little bit this season, puts up a 0 today, but it's a 7-2 game against the White Sox. You can take as much from that as you want. But yeah, we're finally getting reinforcements in this bullpen. Chad Green pitch. Bowden Francis should be back soon. Yaya Rodriguez is on his way. The only player we need now is he's almost like a unicorn at this point, and it's Joey Votto. Because
where is Joey Votto, man? That guy might be on Mars. He is gone.
I'm trying to like scour the internet for like anything from Joey Votto, and he puts out the odd tweet, but it's not really about anything. Like maybe he's just enjoying his time. I think he's in Florida. I don't even know where he is. I assume he's in Florida, maybe rehabbing. I mean, he's probably just enjoying the weather. Maybe he has some boys out there. I don't know what's going on with Joey Votto. I don't know if he's going to play a game for the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, I think it would be funny if Joey Votto just didn't play a game the entire season, because it could have been like, oh, he hit that home run off Zach Wheeler in spring training and then just never put on a Blue Jays uniform again. So it would be cool if Joey Votto could be productive for this team. But there's also the other spin zone where he could come in and be even worse than Daniel Vogelbach. And then everyone's like, oh, Joey Votto for the Blue Jays sucks. So maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing if Joey Votto just, had that home run, and that's kind of how it is.
You know what, though? I mean, I don't know what the bad part to this would be. I think if you can bring him in, get him some at-bats, see what he can do. I mean, I hate to say it, but he can't be worse than Vogie.
Come on, Vogie had a legacy game when we were there. You're quick to forget that.
I know, but it's one game. I can't, maybe Joey Votto is a bit of a spark plug, another veteran presence, maybe a guy that can come in and hit for power, and that's what he's known to do. And that's what this team needs desperately right now.
See, I don't know. Joey Votto's ankle could be shot right now. If he can't run, Vogelbach might actually be faster than Joey Votto right now. So then they might have to race to see if Joey Votto's actually ready to go or not. I don't know if you guys are seeing something that I'm not. I was all over the internet today. Joey Votto's just like, is he dead? Like, I actually don't know. We need a missing persons flyer or something for Joey Votto, because I have no idea where this guy is. If you know where he's chilling, leave it in the comment section, because again, like, is this guy going to play a game for the Toronto Blue Jays? Is he going to help anything? I mean, there's a bunch of questions we could ask here, a bunch of hypotheticals we could go into. But saying that, we got a game tomorrow. Series sweep. We need it so bad. We need it so bad.
So bad. It's actually painful. It's painful how badly we need this series sweep. And we're relying on the man we just talked about for quite a while, Alek Manoah, to come in and shut the door and help this team win. They've scored some runs. They've shown that they're able to put up some runs against this White Sox team, and we need them to do it again, and we need Alek Manoah to have a good start. Alek Manoah this season has put up a 3 ERA, which is great considering that he had 2 not so great starts already this season. And I fully believe that, well, if you believe what Chris Bassett said, this guy will come back and like a vengeance and have maybe the greatest game of all time because apparently he's the most mentally strong person alive. And that's what we need from him. That's what we need from him. We need it bad. I'm down bad for a Blue Jays sweep.
Yeah, we'll see what Alek Manoah can do. A typical Alek Manoah outing is like you can tell what this guy's going to do in the first inning of his work here. So again, this Chicago White Sox lineup is so bad, and it's not even just the lineup. Honestly, it's their defense as well. There was one, I think Andrew Vaughn could have had, like, it was the easiest pop fly I've ever seen from Vlad, and he just didn't go for it. Like, I don't know. This team is last in the league in defensive fronts saved. Obviously, you look at the lineup, and with the Alek Manoah ERA, I kind of looked into that because 3 seemed a little low. I know it says 3 on the score. I checked that, but I checked TSN. It says 3.97. I checked the MLB website. It says 3.97. That does sound more accurate, but again, he's been effective. He's been a good pitcher for this team. And they're going against Chris Flexen, and Chris Flexen is not good at all. We got very lucky. We missed Crochet. We missed Fetty. There needs to be a sweep. You get an off day. The vibes are up. Then you go into Pittsburgh. Again, I said you need for sure 5 out of 6 wins. If we could get a sweep, I mean, I said 9-4 minimum. That would be 9-4 if you get that. Maybe we shouldn't be saying this right now. Knock on wood. Hopefully the Toronto Blue Jays can pull off this last win of the series. Just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. The Angel Hernandez video just went crazy. It was our best short so far. I guess everyone's just so happy to see Angel Hernandez out of the league. Thanks God.
Some people just did not know that you were being sarcastic, and people were questioning, like, are you even what? And I don't know. I rewatched it because I'm like, okay, maybe Carter just like is really playing up the whole sarcasm, and it was so easy to tell that you're being sarcastic, and some people just didn't click. They were out to lunch.
I literally said that Angel Hernandez likes offense, so that's why he has this high of a favor, 0.7 favored runs a game. It's almost a full run. And then also the last slide I had in that video was a strikeout call from Angel Hernandez when the ball was a foot outside. So I don't know. I went over his report card too. Obviously, it was not good. So I don't know. People just, I guess, can't read into the sarcasm there. Maybe I'm just a natural born actor. They call me Ryan Gosling for a reason, right? Before we do head out, wanted to say perfect opportunity to head over to the Locked On Sports Today or the Amazon Fire TV's channel app. Perfect opportunity to check out expert analysis. The Blue Jays have been playing, okay baseball again. They beat the worst team in the league twice. Can't really take too much away from that. But if you're an NFL fan, NHL fan, obviously a lot of good series going on in the NHL. You can get expert analysis from all of our Locked On creators. Perfect opportunity to go check that out. So, Braden, you got anything else to add?
No, let's get the sweep.
We need it bad. Need it more than crack, honestly, for anyone in the Winnipeg downtown streets. So let's get a series win, a series sweep.